Okay, welcome back and welcome to the next tutorial. This one is for the before start procedure. This assumes that the load sheet is now in the flight deck, which would be independently checked by the captain and first officer, and then they come together and input the data in a coordinated manner between the two. So the captain would call out the actual zero fuel weight, 55,336, so rounded up, the captain would call out 55.4. The first officer then checks this against the flight plan to check that there's no gross error, and then the first officer on his side or her side would put the zero fuel weight, 55.4. As this is a perfect scenario, just happens to be that this is the same here, 55.4, as the flight plan. Once he or she puts that in, then the gross weight is 63.5. The taxi was 200, so the first officer would call out 63.5 minus the 200, so we'd call out 63.3. Captain then checks that against the load sheet, which in this case is 63,181, so that's fairly close, and confirms the results from here with the load sheet. MAC, so the MAC for cruise is the lower of the MAC for takeoff, or the MAC for the zero fuel weight. So just to keep things simple, we'll keep the two the same. So cruise CFG up here should input /23, and then takeoff page, takeoff CFG 23. That completes that section. So then the captain and first officer would independently do the performance calculation, and once they've both calculated that independently, the captain would then read out from his or her side. So here's the performance. So we'd read out any thing that they've assumed or changed. So in this case, for the simulator, we've pre-populated takeoff 1 for 26k engines. So, and then would read back. So Bristol runway 27, flaps 25, acceleration height 990, trim 4.5, V1 124, VR 128, V2 134, D-rate 1, 51 degrees, should give us 92.1%. The FO then agrees that this is correct, or the same results on his or her performance, and then the first officer inputs this into the CDU. 26k, (51 degrees). This actually comes out a little bit different, as 93.4. Being the simulator, some potential differences. So you would have checked that against the percentage that you were expecting. So flaps 25, V1, VR and V2 inserted. Acceleration and thrust reduction for an NADP2 departure set at 800, and the engine acceleration 990 feet. The captain then reads out from the CDU whilst the first officer checks on their EFB or iPad, wherever they've calculated, to make sure that it's been input correctly. So I would then read from the CDU, D-rate 1, 51 degrees, 93.4%, flaps 25, V1 124, VR 128, V2 134, 800, 800, acceleration 990. So that's that completed. As long as there's no errors in that. And the captain would add the two together. We have 990 onto the airport elevation of 622, means that the engine out acceleration altitude, which we've pre-populated at 1,000 feet above, is now 1612, 1612. So we make that amendment to here. So 1612 set, and then the first officer would do the same on their side. So that's set. Then moving across the MCP. So in the brief we'd have agreed on the modes that we'll use. So takeoff V2 is set 134. 134. VNAV, LNAV, heading 268. And the stop for the SID. So we'd put, at this point, 100 less if we've not received the takeoff departure clearance. And if we have received it, we would put the clearance in either at the point we were given it or now. So the SID stop altitude 6,000 feet. So that's in here. So we can now remove that if we wanted by policy, because the catch is 6,000 feet here. Standard then for the settings, pilot flying would normally have takeoff ref page, and pilot monitoring would have the legs page displayed. And that's the end of the before start procedure.
Before start checklist.
Before start checklist: flight deck door closed and locked, fuel 8,000 kilos, pumps on, passenger signs on, windows
Blocked.
locked, MCP
V2134, heading 268, altitude 6,000.
takeoff speeds
V1124, VR 128, V2134.
CDU pre-flight
Completed.
rudder and aileron trim,
3 and 0.
taxi and takeoff briefing,
Completed.
anti-collision light on, before start checklist complete.